Hey girls and gals, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor and today is the start of another weekly reading vlog. I don't know if you've noticed or not yet, but behind me I did get a new bookshelf this weekend, which is very exciting. It has been a long time coming and I definitely needed the space. So I was finally able earlier this weekend to pull out all of my books out of storage and finally display them all. And what's even more exciting is I do have about two, if I really rearrange, I've got two basically empty bookshelves, so definitely nice to have a little bit of room to expand more. I am in the process of filming a reorganization video, so that should be coming sometime this month, or it might just turn into like a bookshelf sort of tour video. I haven't decided like how I want to put that footage together yet, but that is coming because I definitely had a lot of fun kind of expanding my collection and pulling out some books that I've just had in storage for a while, so I was really excited to place them all out, display them, and just reorganize. I had a lot of fun doing that. So that was the big thing that happened this weekend. Other than that, my partner and I spent a lot of time watching the Lord of the Rings movie series, expanded editions, so they're all like 4 hours long. We're actually going to finish The Return of the King later on tonight, but had a lot of fun watching that. I would definitely say we try and watch them all every year. It is Sunday, start of a brand new week, start of a brand new vlog, so let's go over the two books that I'm primarily in the middle of. First off, we have my current audiobook, which is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. I'm listening to this through Libby and I've got 5 days left on my loan, 28% of the way through it, so I should finish it before my library takes it back from me. I really have not been reading any thrillers this year. It's a frustrating genre because it's always a genre that I feel like I would love and want to love so bad, and I just really get disappointed by a lot of thrillers, unfortunately. I love horror. I feel like I should like thrillers too. Those really go hand in hand, but for whatever reason, a lot of the times they don't work for me, and a lot of the times they definitely need like a secondary hook for me to like them, or for me to even pick them up, which sounds really terrible, but I picked up In My Dreams I Hold a Knife because I've been hearing incredible things about it, and I've also heard that it is like very dark academia, and that's like actually like in an academic setting. I read The Maidens by Alex Michaelides late last year and just was very disappointed by that one for a number of reasons, but primarily because it was like heralded as like a dark academia thriller, and then it just really didn't give me that academic setting that I wanted at all. So this one, I will say, has a lot more of that academia setting. It's following a group of friends that were really close friends in college. They're not anymore. We alternate between the past and the present. One of the people in this group of friends dies, and there is a person that is accused of committing the crime, but he is not arrested or charged. He's basically cleared of doing it, but there's a lot of drama, and such a horrifying event like that really broke the group up. The dynamics are very different, so we're primarily following our main character, Jessica. She is going back to her college reunion, and we're kind of seeing that maybe this group is going to have to confront the events that led to their friend's death and maybe figure out what happened there. Again, I'm 28% of the way in, and we haven't really gotten to what I know like the major plot of this is. It was very slow in the setup, setting up the characters, introducing all of the characters in this group, all the members of this friend group, both in the before sections and the now section where they all are now. So I'm interested in reading this one. This one, I almost feel like maybe, especially at the beginning, I probably would have enjoyed reading it physically rather than on audio, just because there are a lot of characters introduced, and at least for me, especially with a more contemporary story where the characters' names are very, not interchangeable, but very hard to keep track. It's a group of friends at a very privileged school, so you're introduced to a bunch of boys with fratty sounding names and girls with stratty sounding names. Like there was a Heather and a Courtney, and I thought they were like the same character for a little bit of this story. I finally like have it figured out. So there are a lot of main characters in this one. one, and just for me, I had to really focus at the beginning of this audiobook, keeping them all like squared away in my head and figuring out who was who. But now that I've kind of gotten that down more, I'm excited to see where this is going to go. So that is my current audiobook. For my current physical book, I actually plan on picking this up today, and that is going to be Gallant by V. Schwab, and this is Crimson Peak meets A Secret Garden, and I believe this is YA. And honestly, that's all I care to know about it. Before diving into this book, I have seen some very mixed reviews, and I have intentionally made sure not to watch any videos where I see this book kind of in the title or like thumbnail of any videos, because I feel like this one is going to get like the same, not overhyped, but like same level of marketing and acclaim as The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue did. That book was everywhere. I managed to like pick it up fairly quickly and read it and kind of form my own opinions before like all of the hype. And not saying that's a good or a bad thing, but I feel like this one, I don't want to hear anyone's opinions on it. I don't want to know like the general consensus, whether this is worth the hype or not. I just want to go in and experience this for myself, because I have been hearing people are feeling very differently about it, and I want to watch some of those reactions. I want to watch those vlogs, hear what people are saying about this, but I definitely want to pick it up first and read it for myself. So I'm probably going to pick it up today. So that is really my plan for the rest of the day, is finishing Return of the King, and then also getting a few pages into this, at least picking it up just like very quickly, like thumbing through the pages of this one. There is some sort of mixed media element or like illustration throughout this, so I'm very excited to pick this one up physically so I can kind of get that unique formatting and read it on the page. So I'm very excited for that. So that's really all I have for the introduction of this vlog. Welcome to a new reading vlog. I am very excited about my books that I'm reading this week. Gonna start this one, and I will talk to you all later. Good morning. I have finished one of the books that I said that I was going to finish this week, which is very exciting. I finished my audiobook now a couple of days ago actually, but I wanted to have some time to sit on it and think about things that I liked or didn't like. And I did end up finishing In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead, and I really enjoyed this one. Right off the bat, I think if you are looking for a thriller with academia elements, I do think this did that really well. I will say, I think just with the pacing of thrillers in general, I don't think any of them are truly going to strike like the atmospheric, character-driven, slow pace that I tend to associate with dark academia books or academia books in general. But I truly really did get the sense that this was set in a campus. These were college students, and I had a lot of fun reading it. I also will give a caveat that if you need to like characters, even if the characters are unlikable and you still need like a little bit going for them, I wouldn't pick this book up. The main character cast is horrible. They're all terrible people, and they're all very privileged people for the most part. It kind of almost reminds me of the Gossip Girl blurb on Netflix, where it's like horrible, beautiful people doing horrible things to each other repeatedly. That's really what this is, and the main character is one of the most unlikable main characters that I've ever read from quite some time, and I had a lot of fun with this because all 6 of our main characters pretty much are very unlikable. They all could have done it. They all have very compelling reasons to have committed this murder of their former classmate and former friend. So I thought that was really entertaining as an author. I felt like the author could have picked any of the 6 people to have done the murder, and it would have made sense. So they're very, very unlikable people, so just keep that in mind. And I definitely don't think, for the most part, you're supposed to sympathize with them or think that they're good people. I definitely believe there is a place in fiction for protagonists that are not good people, that are terrible people, and that doesn't mean that the author is condoning the actions or you as a reader are supposed to condone the actions. There are some bad things that happen to the characters that you can sympathize with, sure, but it's like if you're watching a true crime documentary and you see that a serial killer has a really bad childhood, you can still recognize that horrible things happen to that serial killer and recognize that that is a bad person, and you don't sympathize with them, if that makes sense. So that's very much like the main characters in this, all 6 of them. They're just terrible people, and they're very hard to like, but very enjoyable to watch them kind of self-sabotage each other repeatedly. I didn't guess who the murderer was, but at the same time I did listen to this on audiobook, and I really enjoy doing that for thrillers because I feel like for me it helps me really focus on the story, and I don't have as much time to pause and think about who did it or try and really parse clues, because when I'm reading something physically, I can stop in the middle of the page and think about something, whereas if I'm listening to audiobook, I mean, sure, I can always pause it there, but if I'm listening, keeping up with the story as someone else is telling it to me, I don't focus as much on that. So I really enjoyed the reveal. I thought it was a lot of fun, actually. I know the phrase like popcorn thriller gets thrown around a lot. I definitely would say this was just very, very fun. And I do think it would make a incredibly, I don't want to say entertaining because it does deal with the murder of a young woman, but I think it would make a really great movie adaptation. So yeah, I had a lot of fun reading it. I know the author's coming out, I believe, with another book this year, so I will be checking that out, and I had a lot of fun. So speaking of thrillers, I know I did mention that I was reading Gallant by V.E. Schwab, or I wanted to, as my physical book. I tried the audiobook because I got it on Libby. My hold came in right as I was going to pick this up physically, and I don't like the audiobook. We're following a younger female protagonist, and the narrator is what sounds like a very mature man, just with like his tone and the way he's describing the story. And I get why that is happening, because I think it's supposed to be like a fairy tale sort of thing. Like I feel like the narration style really reminded me almost of the audiobook of The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. Like I feel like that was intentionally, the narrator was very much older and the narration tone was very much older, even though we're following a young protagonist. So I get it, but for me it's just really not working, at least for me starting the story. So I have briefly started this one, but it is a little bit hard to get into, I'm not gonna lie. And since it is a library book, I checked, actually no one is behind me in line for this copy, so I do have a longer time with it than I anticipated. One book that I don't have that much time for is the Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. So yesterday I did dive into this one and started reading it so that I can get it done before it has to go back to the library. I'm about 50 pages into this one. I hope to get at least a lot of the way through this book today. I really enjoy Simone St. James's books, and I have felt like in the past with the Sundown Motel and then the other one that is set partially at a girls' boarding school, the name is escaping me, but both of those were very fast, engaging reads. So I have a feeling this one also, I'll be able to fly through it, and I am enjoying the setup. I don't remember if I've talked about this book at all or not yet, but we are following 2 main points of view. The first point of view is set in, it's 2017, and we're following someone who is a nurse by day, and she runs a true crime blog by night, and she writes all these articles, is very much true crime obsessed, looking into cold cases, figuring out who's done these horrible things, maybe try and solve some cases on her own. So we're following that as a point of view, and she actually meets a very famous person in her small town who was accused of killing multiple men in the 70s, I believe, and she was was found not guilty, but you know, the public opinion very much thinks that she is guilty. Our main character runs into this woman very much by happenstance and asks if she can interview her for her website, and surprise of all surprises, this woman actually agrees. So we're flipping back and forth between 2017 and Shay, our main character. She's the interviewee, so we follow her point of view, and then we're going back to the 70s and following Beth, the person who is the supposed lady killer who committed these murders, and we're kind of seeing a dual timeline there. I do think that everything that I've read by Simone St. James has been dual timeline, and I think she does it really well. So I am looking forward to reading more of this book today. That is pretty much it. I will also say I have been like very much in a nostalgic mood lately. I've been picking up like a lot of old anime and manga that I haven't read since I was a tween. Like last month I started rereading the Sailor Moon manga, which I've been having a lot of fun with, and I also got like the original Pokemon manga as well. So I am in the mood for that, so I might actually like switch back and forth between a thriller all about murder and then some very light-hearted manga. So that's pretty much my reading plans for the day, and I'm going to read some more and I will check back in with you all later. Happy Friday, everyone. I did get some good reading done yesterday. Not as much as I would have liked, because me and my partner are currently, I think I mentioned maybe at the beginning of this vlog, last weekend we watched all the Lord of the Rings movies. And then we just kind of decided that we were still on like a movie kick. My partner's definitely more of a movie person than I am. I don't know if you could tell from the background behind me or like what my whole channel is about, but I am primarily a book person. That's usually what I spend my time doing after work. It's like my preferred form of media. I do like movies and I do watch movies, just not all the time, and I do have to be in a movie mood. However, after we finished the gloriousness that is The Lord of the Rings, we decided to start another movie marathon, and that would be watching all of the Star Wars movies in chronological order. I know there's a lot of debate on what the right order to watch the Star Wars movies is, but we started with episode 1 and we've already seen episode 1, 2, 3, and Rogue One. I think we're gonna watch episode 4 tonight, so very excited. We'll probably watch Solo 2. Now that I'm saying that, I realize that we're probably gonna have to watch that tonight, and that's my least favorite Star Wars movie, so we might skip that one. Last time we watched all of these, we skipped it. So we'll see what we end up watching tonight. I would much prefer New Hope to Solo, but you know, it still is an entertaining movie. I feel like even the worst Star Wars movies to me on my list are still like entertaining and a good time. There's really none that I think are terrible. There are definitely things that I would change about every single arc pretty much in Star Wars, but like they're just silly, goofy space operas and they're just a lot of fun. So even the ones that I have issues with, if we end up watching Solo, I know like I'll still have a good time watching it. It's just really not my favorite. But anyway, you're not here to listen about Star Wars talk. You're here to listen to me talk about books. So I did read a lot yesterday, even though we did watch Rogue One. So I did I was right. I mentioned that I was probably in the mood to read something a little bit nostalgic. So I did pick up this Pokemon Adventures. It is the collector's edition. So I believe this was originally volumes 1, 2, and 3. I feel like much like Star Wars, even if you don't know about it and you don't like enjoy it and partake in it, you still know a little bit. So this is pretty much like the first story in terms of the manga. We're in Kanto, which is the very first region of Pokemon, and we're following a young Pokemon trainer named Red, who is essentially, I feel like, Ash in the anime's counterpart. We're also following his rival named Blue, who's supposed to be Gary. It's like very clear the artwork is very similar. We also have a female main character named Green, who I actually I can't really think of in the anime a good comparison to. I'm having a lot of fun with this. I mean, it is for a younger audience. The humor is very juvenile, and every single conflict or issue is wrapped up very neatly in each episode of this kind of volume. So it's a lot of fun. It's very cute. The artwork is very cute. It is very chunky. I read about 300 pages yesterday, and this volume has just over 600 pages, but I'm having a lot of fun. It's a very easy breezy read, and it also has me very nostalgic to maybe pick up the anime or pick up maybe some of the older video games if I can find my DS. That might be fun. So I have really been enjoying this, and I really do enjoy the bind up. I just feel like it's just so convenient, especially with a juvenile manga that reads very, very quickly for me. Having a lot of material in one volume is very nice because I'm getting these from the library. So it's fun to be able to spend some time with this one. Now moving to a completely different reading experience, The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. I'm really enjoying this one. So this is like a thriller. It's very clear from, I think the last one was even dedicated to murderinos, but Simone St. James is very well versed in true crime and just like real life crime and cold cases and all of that. And this very much does feel like our main character is true crime obsessed in like a very believable way. It's also, as I was predicting, very ghostly, very paranormal already. It does say on the back, one of the blurbs says, "No one writes a ghost story like Simone St. James, whose uniquely spooky thrillers are as chilling as they are captivating." So yes, I'm enjoying this. It's pretty much exactly what the synopsis kind of gives you, and I'm very intrigued to kind of find out more, because obviously if it's a thriller, it's not going to be as cut and dry as this woman is interviewing this other woman who was a serial killer. There's definitely more to the story, and I'm very intrigued to find out more, read some more paranormal elements. I've been switching off back and forth because I have my library's hard copy, and then I also have my library's Libby copy at the moment. So while I would say I am primarily reading this one physically, when I'm taking my dog on walks or doing dishes, something like that, I will listen to it physically, and I do enjoy both productions. And there are different narrators for each woman. There are 2 women that we're following, so that also makes it really nice how one perspective, Shay's perspective, has one narrator, and then Beth's perspective has another narrator. Definitely helps me keep track of the timelines and who's doing what in each timeline. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this, and I'm having a lot of fun with both of my reads. That's really all I have for a reading update. I haven't finished anything, but I definitely plan on finishing at least this Pokemon volume today. And that's pretty much it. Once my partner gets home from work, then we're probably going to kick off the weekend with a movie, just kind of relax and hang out. So I feel like I gotta get the bulk of my reading done before he comes back. So I'm going to go get some reading done before he comes back. But that's pretty much all I have for reading updates. I will talk to you all a little bit later, hopefully once I've finished one of the books that I'm currently reading. So it is now Sunday, and after several Star Wars movies and quite a few pages later, I have finished The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James, and I really had a lot of fun reading this one. This one was truly so fast-paced. I really enjoyed this one. I will say, if you do not like paranormal thrillers at all, or thrillers that dip into horror, I would probably skip this one. I feel like if you don't like the paranormal elements that were in this author's past few books, then this is definitely not going to work for you. I also really enjoy one thing about this thriller, this mystery thriller, was that we do get, I would say by the halfway point, a lot of answers, supposedly, but then you kind of have to figure out another mystery is why certain people did things. So I just really enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun. I think Simone St. James is really good at writing dual point of view but also dual timeline stories that kind of coincide with each other but never like give like repeating information, even though they're going over the same storylines from different perspectives almost. So I definitely had a lot of fun reading this one. Could not put it down. Very easy to fly through, at least for me. Simone St. James just is always like that author for me. I know I'm going to dive into a mystery thriller with paranormal elements and have a good time doing so. So I had a lot of fun with this one. Now I'm kind of in a reading mood where I really want to pick something up, but I don't really know what I want to pick up. There are several books and I almost feel like frozen in between all of them, or I want to start them all immediately, but I know I can't start them all and I've just been stalling out trying to pick one. So I am going to go back and try and start Gallant. Earlier in the week I did mention I only got to like page 14 just because the audiobook was not a good match for me. However, I do anticipate probably being able to get through this one a little bit easier physically. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And honestly, I'll probably go back and reread the 14 pages that I've already read because it's been a while. I haven't touched this book since the beginning of the week. So I think it's fairly on the shorter end. I want to say about 300 pages. I should be able to make some good leeway on this one. So I think that's my plan for right now, what I plan on doing, and I'm going to go read. So it has been a couple of days since my last update, but I did manage to finish both of the books that I was making my way through, so feeling pretty good about that. I'll go ahead and start with the manga that I was reading, the collector's edition bind up the first volume of Pokemon Adventures. I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. I've been playing the games since Fire Red and Leaf Green came out on the Game Boy, so I had a lot of fun being in the Kanto region again. And then this is pretty different than both the Fire Red Leaf Green games or just the original games in general. It has a slightly different plot than that. You see similar locations, but Red, the main character, is following a slightly different journey than you as the game player would be following, as well as it is different than the anime as well. So I had fun. This was very cute. A lot of fun, very nostalgic, highly enjoyed it. And then I also finished Gallant by V.E. Schwab, and I enjoyed this one as well. Now, I really loved The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and that for me, I really do feel like it is kind of one of those right book at the right time. When I read that one, I still really enjoy it. I would love to reread it again, maybe sometime in the future, to kind of see like if it holds up, because I definitely feel like the time that I read that one and the messages that that book had was like a perfect time for me. Now this one did not hit the same emotional chord for me, but I did enjoy it. I thought this one definitely feels like a very different reading experience and almost different reading audience than The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This one, I believe it is YA, and I really feel like it hits like a perfect gothic yet almost like whimsical fairy tale niche. I feel like it reads very much like Coraline, so whatever age range or whatever age like Coraline would be appropriate for in terms of just readability, and then also like the mild horror elements in Coraline. I feel like this is very similar in terms of like the protagonist age, honestly. I believe a little bit, and then just the book itself, also like the series of unfortunate events. I feel like those two are very similar in tone to this one, and I really feel like this, I would have enjoyed it more had it been longer. I feel like this one is very atmospheric, very character driven, and it's a very slow setup, and then you get a very rushed, I feel like I wanted to say this is 300 and something pages, 330 or so pages, and really you don't get the main plot or setup, and like the main action happens all within like the last 40 pages. So I thought the pacing was a little bit off. I felt like this would have been, if we wanted to keep the tone and the pacing of the way this book started, which I really enjoyed. It was very slow, very atmospheric, very gothic. I wish we had more time and that the plot would have been lengthened overall. I feel like that would have worked out a little bit better for me, as well as I felt like the ending was kind of convenient with the way things wrapped up. But I did really enjoy this. I almost want to say, if you feel like you are a pretty fast reader or have a lot of time to read, I feel like this would be perfect to read in one sitting. And I know it's like 300 something pages, but a lot of these pages actually are illustrations or stylized pages with like 1 or 2 lines of text on them. So for that, I would recommend the physical over the audiobook if you have the chance to, because I feel like the formatting is very important to the story in parts. So I'll like hold it kind of far back so you can't really see, but there are really gorgeous illustrations that do actually like impact the story, and how you kind of take it in. So I would recommend reading it physically. I really enjoyed it. Again, I feel like Series of Unfortunate Events or Coraline, like this would fit in really nicely for whatever age range that would be. And I don't want to say it's like a strictly middle grade, because I definitely feel like if the author says it's YA, then it should be considered YA. It's just definitely not on like the older end of YA. So I think this is like perfect for someone who wants like horror but cozy, like if you really love horror and creepy things, but you want something a little less horrific and like gothic horror. I would recommend this, as well as Coraline I think is a really good comp for this in terms of the main character we follow and her kind of reasoning, and then also just the tone of the book. So managed to finish these two, and that's pretty much I think a really good way to end this vlog. I'm pretty sure I enjoyed everything that I read this week. Trying to think back, I think it's been a little more than a week at this point, but I don't think I had anything that I hated reading in this vlog, which is always good. Had a lot of fun balancing some darker thrillers with some lighthearted manga reads. So yeah, and I'm really glad that I got to read this pretty close to when it came out, because V.E. Schwab's definitely an author that gets a lot of hype with every release. It's always fun to kind of get in on the ground floor and read it before it becomes, I feel like this would be very intimidating to read if you've been hearing like a year of hype for it. That's how I felt with The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, at least. So I'm glad that I managed to pick this up pretty close to its release date. But that's going to be the end of this reading vlog. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, subscribe to my channel for more content from me. Stay safe, stay spooky, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!